Joining us for the demo portion of our programming today. This is a demo on tech and service delivery in government. I am super excited about today's session. It is one of my favorite sessions that we do during Tech to Gov, give you all an opportunity to learn a little bit more firsthand about the work that folks are actually doing in government. So before I get ahead of myself, my name is Ariana Soto. I'm the Deputy Director of Coding It Forward. We are a nonprofit focused on bringing early career technologists into government. Our team actually has a booth here, so if you are an early career technologist looking for opportunities, definitely stop by our booth. Our applications are actually open for next year's summer fellowship program, so we'd love to meet you today. But I'm super excited to be moderating this session today. Products and services look different in government, but many aspects are the same. So today you'll be learning how technologists in government design products and services for the public. We'll be hearing from demos in the following order. I'm going to read out to you who our demos are coming from, and then I'll actually let them pop on and actually say hi to you really quickly before they get underway, perhaps give you a quick one-sentence overview of what they'll be presenting on, and then we'll dive right into it. But we're joined today by Denise, who is the Chief Innovation Officer at the City of South Bend, as well as Charles, who is a former Coding It Forward fellow, actually. So if you listen to Charlie's demo, you'll hear a little bit about what it looks like to be a fellow and the kind of work that you would do as part of our program. And then Stephanie is a tech lead at 988 at SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and she'll be joining in a few minutes. So I'm just going to have Denise introduce herself first, and then I'll kick it over to Charlie, and then Denise will carry us away. But take it away, Denise. If you can just give people an intro of who you are. I kind of gave the brief intro, and then just a sentence about what you'll be presenting about.
Hi, everybody. My name is Denise Riedl. I'm the CIO for the City of South Bend and head of the city's Department of Innovation and Technology, which is this data, technology, and design Swiss Army knife for city departments. I'm going to talk a bit about my department and my team, but also tell you the story about one of our applications. So I'll tell you about how we engaged all parts of our department to help some vulnerable households in South Bend.
Amazing. And over to you, Charlie.
Sweet. Hi, all. I'm Charlie. I, again, was a fellow with Coding It Forward this past summer. I was with the U.S. Department of Labor for 10 weeks, working within the Office of Apprenticeship, and my focus at my time there was making it easier for both people in the federal government to start a federal apprenticeship and for career seekers to find them via our website. And my focus there was on UX design, and I got to work on apprenticeship.gov and impact a few million users over there. So it was a really rewarding experience, and now I'm back here to talk about it. I just graduated from Seattle University.
Well, thank you both. Super excited to dive in. And I will just say to everyone before I hand it back over to Denise that we will be saving time at the end of the 3 demos for questions. So if you have questions as we're going along, please feel free to send them to us. We will be triaging questions at the end. But other than that, thank you for being here at Tech to Gov. Thank you for being here at this demo specifically. Denise, over to you. Take it away.
Great. I'm going to share my screen here. And like Ariana said, make sure to keep all your questions for the end. I'll kind of do a broad overview in 10 minutes of my department and tell you a story about one of our projects. And I imagine some of you will have more questions later. So just to overview, can everyone see my screen? Great. Like I said, my name is Denise Riedl. I'm the CIO for the City of South Bend. My department, we're a small team that does big things in the City of South Bend, Indiana. If I had more time in this presentation, I would have more Parks and Rec jokes for you. But in all seriousness, that is a lot of what our life is. We are a really engaged team. We are very tight knit. We do big things with, given the fact that we're a small city. Our mayor really encourages us to be ambitious. As CIO for the city, I report directly to the mayor. And he challenges us to be the best in the state, one of the best in the country when it comes to government IT innovation, and technology equity. And so we've really been purposeful in building a team that is user-friendly, that is flexible, and mission-driven here at the City of South Bend. So I wanted to give you an idea of some of the things we do. Like I said, we're a Swiss Army knife, right? So we do things like develop design guides for application developers and for city teams. So we have a cohesive look to our city applications and our web presence. We do things like build private LTE networks in partnership with the school system in the City of South Bend to bridge our digital divide. We have analysts at the city who partner closely with city teams, and they do things like analyze our police recruitment process, right? They look at every step of the recruitment process, and they see when people of color and women drop off at each step and what we can do about it and how we can pilot different interventions to forward equity. I said on an earlier slide, our team's mantra is listen first, build with, and we take that very seriously. This is a picture of Kelsey, one of our analysts, who actually felt so strongly about the work she was doing with PD that she took the police recruitment test. And this is just an example of the culture we have in our department. You know, whether you're an analyst or you're, an IT, pure IT or infrastructure worker, whether you are a UX researcher, whether you're a developer, you really partner very authentically with our departments. We're always looking to understand what our residents need. We're engaging really heavily in the community, and we really take our mission and our calling seriously, and because we want to put technology and data in service to the people. As a joke, again, I don't have all the time in the world to deliver Parks and Rec jokes, but I joke sometimes that as CIO for the City of South Bend, one of my most important jobs is making sure the FalCam is working. Now it's seasonal, so it's down right now, but people in South Bend care very deeply about the falcons that exist in our downtown. And part of what we do is have a live stream during the hatching season. And so for those of you that want to make jokes about Parks and Rec and Little Sebastian, there is an equivalent here in South Bend. So just wanted to make sure to share that in good faith so you're aware. But in all seriousness,
Hey, Denise,
the City of South
I
Bend.
think your slides might be down.
Yeah, Denise,
Oh,
we're not
sure.
seeing your slides anymore.
Okay, let me troubleshoot this. All right. Great. Can you guys see now? Perfect.
We're still missing. Oh,
All
there
right.
they are. You're all good.
Yep. All right. Thanks for letting me know about that. But in all seriousness, we strive to be leaders in government technology and innovation. Here are just some nominations and awards that we've received the last few years. And we engage with a lot of national networks and a lot of state networks so that we can stay on top of best practices and we can collaborate with others in the field. And like I said, we also take culture very seriously. We are really a tight-knit team. We work very closely together. We engage heavily in the community. And we're always looking for ways that we can not only have impact and help our partners, but we can have fun while we do it. So I'm going to tell a story about the Utility Assistance Program in South Bend, and that'll give you an idea of how we engage this cross-disciplinary team in South Bend to reach a common goal. So after COVID, as many of you probably witnessed in your own communities, utility bills really racked up. We used American Rescue dollars to do utility forgiveness in South Bend, but still that wasn't enough. And so we realized we had to lean on a monthly utility assistance program in the City of South Bend that gave a progressive discount to low-income residents. But there was a problem. The Utility Assistance Program, or UAP, really didn't work for the people it was supposed to help. On the left, you'll see what the old version looked like. And it was a seasonal application. It was via paper. There were lots of documentation standards. There wasn't a lot of great communication between the applicants and the administration. And a lot of our management of this program was outsourced to community partners that were under-resourced and didn't have time to manage the program. And so we realized in order to help our most vulnerable households, we had to totally rethink this program from a policy perspective, from a process standpoint, and also from a technology standpoint, it totally needed to be revamped. And we needed to build a technical infrastructure to not only manage the program, but to communicate with our residents. So I think this probably looks like a lot of your day-to-day lives, right? A lot of post-its and planning ensued after this so that we could understand the user journeys. In this application, we engaged analysts and researchers to really understand how we can improve this program and how we can create very clear recommendations for policymakers and our mayor to improve this program, and we could design a better system for our residents. So these are the 9 recommendations we gave to our mayor as a result of all of our work. And luckily, we have a mayor who's very engaged and supportive of our work. And some of this actually resulted in legislative changes at the city. So I won't dive into all of these, but a lot of these upgrades meant we had to redesign the application. The benefit itself had to be extended. But all of them were greenlit, and we got to work designing this new application. So we built a new process and a new utility assistance application to go with the process, and we totally integrated the program into our 311 team, a kind of underutilized team that had not been leveraged for application screenings before. And we were able to integrate this application management system with our utility billing system so they spoke to one another, and we automated a lot of screenings as a result. We were also able to forward a lot of progressive ideas around this application, including making sure that documents were not required. Really, from a federal perspective, there isn't much fraud, especially in programs that are as small as this. And we realized when we did the cost-benefit analysis, it really wasn't worth it to have a burdensome documentation process that would ultimately result in a higher administrative cost. When we could not have any documents required, and we could simply have an annual audit that we did where we randomized applications and then followed up for more documentation with our customers. Most importantly, in addition to doing research on the front end, engaging our developers and our business units and our utility team, we also prototyped the application with our users throughout the entire development of the tool. So our team worked with nonprofits, neighborhood organizations, service organizations to make sure it worked for our residents. And we also created a results-driven contracting model to reward community partners who were actually signing up eligible people so that our uptake on the program was healthy. And then even after the program was launched, we built automated reporting for city leaders and for the mayor so we can continuously, on a weekly basis, measure the health of the program and then iterate and make policy and programmatic choices as a result of whether things were looking good or things needed to be changed. This program has gotten attention from some folks, and we're so honored. I think in particular, I think this is a great example of how a technology program can not only ease process and be effective, but it can be layered on top of a really progressive mindset around how a program can be administered, full stop. The fact that we didn't ask for documentation, that we're really committed to this 10 to 20 minute max application process. And the fact that our mayor supported it really gave us a lot of freedom and really helped us design something that worked for our customers. And so just to rehash this, our department, we really leveraged all the parts and the pieces of our department, all of our team members to make this happen, right? So we did UX testing, we engaged and advocated successfully for policy changes and eligibility changes to this program. We leveraged technology to create integrations and automated reattestation processes and notifications for our residents. We also created offline solutions given the digital divide in our community. So we leveraged 311 and calls and paper as well to give people that option who couldn't rely on their phones or on the internet. And so we're really proud of this kind of holistic approach to the way we build technology and the way we build solutions for our departments. And we just won an award last week for this specific project. So we're really proud of it. And there's lots of improvements still yet to come on the product management side, but we're really eager to keep doing work like this I'll make sure that this presentation gets shared so you can see these links. But we're very proud of this. Here are some of the opportunities in our department. I would encourage anyone who's interested, even just in local government, even beyond South Bend. I've worked in Chicago, Boston. I used to work for the federal government as well, but I love South Bend and I love working at this level because you're so close to your community. You're so close to the impact. I'll make sure everyone gets access to these links. But please visit our booth and ask more questions because we love our work. We love answering questions. I love it when people are interested in local government because it's really an exciting place to work and do this work. And our team members are really happy and they love living in South Bend. You're really close to impact. It's complex enough that, we get to do cool things, but it's small enough that you really know everyone you need to know to make the impact that you'd like. So it's a great place to launch your career. It's a great place to live. I have 3 kids, 5 and under, and I don't know if I'd be able to do this type of work, honestly, in another city and survive as a mom. So I'm grateful every day that I live in South Bend and we settled here. So please visit our booth and talk more with me or one of my colleagues. And thank you guys for your time.
Thanks, Denise. Congrats on the awards, and thank you for sharing this with us. I did not know about the Falcon Cam. I have relatives who live in South Bend, and I now do you know about this? So thanks for sharing that tidbit.
No,
no,
yeah, it might be like a loud minority, that cares about the Falcon Cam. But
well, now I'm excited.
That's.
Thank you for sharing the project and the process with all of us, and we'll have time at the end for questions from everyone. But I will kick it over to Charlie.
Hey everybody. Okay, let me get my screen sharing. Let's see. Share this screen. All right. It looks like everybody can see everything. Raise a red flag in the chat if you can. But yeah, essentially today I'm going to be presenting the presentation I gave at the end of my time at Coding It Forward at our public demo day. So I titled this Empowering Debt-Free High-Paying Futures, UX Design for Apprenticeship.gov. So let's hop into it. So again, 10-week fellowship with the U.S. Department of Labor via Coding It Forward. Come visit our booth. I'll be in there for a little bit today. Yeah. And so what I'm going to share today is work I did on our apprenticeship job search, work I did on the Start an Apprenticeship in the Federal Government page, and an Explore Federal Apprenticeships page. So showing a little bit of the process of how I got there and the final outcomes. So first of all, let's get a bit of context. What is apprenticeship.gov? It's a site run by the Office of Apprenticeship within the U.S. Department of Labor, and they serve employers, career seekers, and educators. And so benefits of registered apprenticeships include that it's a paid job. You earn while you learn, and you're not paying for your degree, you're getting it while you're going along, and it's kind of an alternative to that. And you come out with credentials if it's a registered apprenticeship. It includes education and mentorship and degree potential as well. So, oh, it looks pixelated. Is it looking pixelated for anybody else?
Just slightly. You want to go to the next slide and see if it might just be that slide, but it is slightly. I'm not sure if there's a way that you would be able to fix that.
Okay, let's see. Should I go back and can you read it?
You can barely. I would say if it's not a quick fix, I think we can probably be okay if you're just kind of voicing over what's on slide.
Let's see if we can do a quick fix here. Okay, I'm going to try again. I had my iPad connected, so maybe that screwed something up. Okay. Does it look as pixelated now for everybody?
It actually looks worse from my end.
Oh, great.
Well, we're seeing your screen imposed on.
Lovely.
I'm not seeing your.
Okay, well.
Let's maybe just go back to the way that you were presenting. It was fine enough. I think we could read it well enough, and I think that is your content was being conveyed via your voice, and it was you could read it well enough. Charlie, you're muted if you are trying to speak. Thanks everyone in the chat. We are actively triaging.
There we go. Okay. Why did it mute me too? Love
So
that.
bizarre. All good. We're
Super
still
fun.
seeing your brazen screen. We're still seeing your
Great.
brazen
Here we
screen and
go.
not your slide deck, but
Are we seeing the slide deck now?
still seeing brazen at the moment.
That is not what's on my computer. What's going on?
You
This
are all
is
good. We have a few
pretty
minutes.
awful. Why is this happening?
You're all
Charlie, you could try turning your own camera off.
Yeah, we can try that as well. If you want to pull the slide deck up and just voice over instead of on video, that might help connectivity.
That could also help. Okay, let's try again. Here we go.
This is a tech
Okay.
demo, and the tech is difficult. Always.
Okay. I'm saying to share the whole screen. Share the whole screen. There we go. Are we good?
I'm
Can we
seeing
see
it. Expand your yes, perfect. And then why don't
Okay,
you
I'm
try
not
turning
touching
off your
anything.
video? No, it looks
Okay.
great. I am skeptical. Oh wait, it's a little less. Now it's slid off the screen, but it was there. There
Okay.
you go.
Any
Lovely.
better?
All right, take it away. It looks a little bit better. I think we're good to go.
Okay, I'll just be sure to read out as much as I can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
for
keep it rolling. Sorry about that. That is interesting that all just happened. Anyway, so what problem was I solving? When I got into the Department of Labor, the Apprenticeship Hub Initiative was an interagency project led by both the Office of Apprenticeship and the Office of Personnel Management, with the goal to expand registered apprenticeships as a workforce development solution within the federal government and create interest around those roles. So across the federal government, there are 115,000 apprentices, and throughout the whole registered apprenticeship program, there are a few million apprentices. So what I started with was soaking up a lot of context. I started by reading through hundreds of pages of internal documents, listening sessions, web pages, and more to understand the context of the problems that I was solving. And from that, I tried to discover who we were building for, and I created personas around each of those people. And a user-centered design process always calls back to the core users we're designing for, so I felt this was important to make for my stakeholders so that we could always be calling back to who we're doing this for. And we were doing this for HR representatives, program managers, and career seekers. So I created an example persona of each of those and their goals, general frustrations, specific pain points, and what was working, what wins have they got. So some of the initial pain points discovered were that there is no centralized resource to find what apprenticeships the federal government offers for interested career seekers, and it's difficult to use the apprenticeship job finder to find registered apprenticeships in the federal government. For federal administrators, setting up a federal apprenticeship is a new and really difficult process for many looking to start that in the federal government. And when going to apprenticeship.gov, federal agency staff might find many resources for employers, private employers, but not many for federal government specific resources. And as we all know, the federal hiring process is a lot different, so we need to make that custom. So what did we start with? When I got here, this is about what we had and the location of the page. And it's called Federal Agency Apprenticeship Programs. That's what it was called when I got there. And you'll be forgiven for not seeing it because it's buried all the way down here. And also in a place you might not expect it to be within resources. If you're coming in as a career seeker, you're likely to go here. If you're coming in as an employer, you're likely to go here into employers. So having it down buried in resources, not many people were finding it. So coming into the page, we start off with this huge chunk of text that is pertaining to both federal administrators and also career seekers. So we're using things like workforce development in the sentence and stuff like that, where career seekers might be confused by, and it didn't really serve either one very well. And we have a lot of real estate dedicated to case studies, but by looking at Google Analytics and who was clicking off the page and how they were going through the page, we were able to see that only 2% of users clicked on this US map study, and then no statistically significant number clicked on the Bureau of Prisons or either of these. So we're using a lot of real estate for something that users weren't really engaging with. However, 18.5 clicked through to these active programs, which shows that people were much more interested in seeing what active programs were out there for the federal government and what opportunities there were. We also saw that 16% went back to career-seeking pages, showing that a good amount of career seekers are ending up here and going back to career-seeking pages saying, this isn't what I wanted to find, so they left. So how did I jump into the design process after soaking up that context? I started by creating a user flow, splitting federal agency apprenticeship programs into Explore Federal Apprenticeships and Start a Federal Apprenticeship under the Employers tab and under the Career Seekers tab, respectively. So this splits up the users into two different flows and allows them to have two different pages catered to what they need, because we're designing for two very different users with very different needs. These career seekers are looking for a job, they're looking for an apprenticeship, and the federal staff are maybe looking to start a federal apprenticeship. So very, very different user sets. I also started by planning out how I was going to go through this. I created a timeline and showed this to my stakeholders. I annotated what we had and what I saw as issues or where we could fix things. I started sketching different ideas that I would take to my stakeholders. And then I started wireframing mid-fidelity options that we could go through and change around while we were still early in the process. So let's look at what came out of that, the Start a Federal Apprenticeship page. This is a resource for federal staff to start apprenticeships in the federal government. So I changed the intro from that big, long paragraph that most people were skipping over to a short and sweet paragraph with an added call to action of ready to get started, contact us. Because contact us in the original page was buried all the way at the bottom. So short and sweet, added call to action. So why registered apprenticeships? On the regular employer page, there are 6 top callouts for benefits of starting a registered apprenticeship, but they're all for private employers. So this was repeated here, but it was customized for the federal context. For example, recruiting talent, a lot of the federal workforce is going to be aging out of the workforce in the next couple of decades. So that's something that really pertains to them. Retaining their skilled workforce and knowledge of expertise is really important, especially at places like NASA, where these technicians are maybe retiring and they have a lot they need to pass down through mentorship and registered apprenticeship. There's a step-by-step resource hub. And also we need to compare how it compares to other employment options. You have apprenticeships, you also have pathways, and you also could hire full-time employees. So what's the difference? We addressed frequently asked questions, and then of course, final opportunity to contact. So next, let's go into how the Explore Federal Apprenticeships page came into being. So this one, again, short, sweet, and readable, and a click off to the federal staff page that we just saw in case federal staff end up on the wrong page via Google, click out of curiosity, etc. So they know this might not be for them. So why seek to have an apprenticeship with the federal government? Here, we provided a short explanation for what we saw as the top 3 reasons. We showed the open roles with the filter for only federal government agency jobs. And when they click See All, users are taken to a pre-filled search on the Job Finder tool. And since users were really interacting with what programs were available, we wanted to expand on this and offer more information. So we offered a database here where you can filter for pay, roles, duration, etc. So I'm skimming through this. I'm not sure how we're doing on time. Feel free to stop me, Ariana, if we got caught up with our technical difficulties.
Probably have about 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay, so I'll really skim through search here then. All right, so search we also found was a really key component of the career seekers user journey. And here, this is the old design. We are finding that career seekers were not able to find federal apprenticeships in the search at all through direct user research. By giving a few tasks and doing that user research, each of the subjects failed to find a federal registered apprenticeship. And so that was a really big drawback. And we got some negative feedback on it as well on the job descriptions. I don't want to read that. On search results, these should be organized by time. What happens if I save a job? So users were really confused on the current design. So I went through and presented a heuristic evaluation of how I thought we could fix this to my stakeholders. I presented a walkthrough video of what was broken here. So for example, when we're going between programs and jobs, it doesn't update, which is confusing to users. We're still seeing jobs even though it says we're in programs. And by the end, the whole thing breaks when we go back and reset. So presented that and went into how each heuristic could be applied, and what we were missing. And then I presented a final design that fixed those issues. So that's the really short and sweet version of that, given our little crunch on time. But yeah, in conclusion, it was a really amazing opportunity, and I'm glad I kind of got to expand the scope of work beyond what we originally thought, because when coming in, we were just going to redesign that one little page, but by discovering the entire user journey and figuring out what the real problems were throughout the site, it actually expanded the scope, and I got to do more than expected and help out more than expected to find the real core issue. And the impact was way more than I expected, with over 2 million users in a year. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my website, and I am searching for roles now that I am done with the fellowship. So anyone hiring for UX design or CX roles, I am interested. So feel free to reach out.
That was fabulous. Thank you. The Department of Labor also has a booth here today. Charlie, you've got some fans in the chat saying that anyone who fixes the user journey to career searching is their hero. So you've got that going for you. But thanks for that fabulous presentation. We are going to have Stephanie jump in and share her presentation with us. And again, if you have questions, drop them. We'll have a couple of minutes at the end of this to rapid fire answer some questions. So Stephanie, over to you.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Stephanie Grosser, and I've been in the federal government since 2010. I actually started as a presidential management fellow with USAID, doing a lot of civic tech over there. And then I joined the U.S. Digital Service out of OMB in 2015. So I got to serve in 3 different administrations and work on critical projects with the State Department, working on refugee admissions and how to expedite that through improvements in our electronic processes. And then I went over to the Small Business Administration for a year, where we had a digital service team working on certify.sba.gov to help small businesses submit their applications electronically instead of sending giant stacks of paper back and forth with the government. And then I went over to DHS to work on the asylum process to help asylum seekers in the US find out their case status online for the first time. And my last project with the US Digital Service was with OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. They do hiring for the federal government. And I got to work with engineers and designers, as similar with all my projects, on really cool civic tech teams to try to improve federal hiring so that subject matter experts and technologists can review resumes instead of HR specialists to deem people qualified. So today I'm going to talk about my new job as of January this year at 988, the new suicide and crisis lifeline for the United States, as the technology lead. But I wanted to talk about how I got here for a minute, because when you're in the federal government, there's so much opportunity to move around and to work on really impactful projects. And I think a lot of people compartmentalize our lives really well. But what I love most about working for the government is that work and making the world better are one and the same. And so I get to feel really good every day, helping the American people and making civic technology meet the expectations that our taxpayers demand and should demand. So I'm going to share my screen, if this works, and walk you through one of my latest projects. So, okay, hopefully you all can see this. So just a quick background first about what 988 is, if anyone doesn't know.
Quick flag, if you wanted to be in presenter mode, you are not.
I know. I actually don't want to be.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, though, for the flag. Hopefully, folks can see anyway. So suicide is one of the leading causes of death in America, and it's gotten worse over the last couple of years and since COVID. Not just for adults, but most shockingly for youth as well. Second leading cause of death for people ages even 10 to 14. And so our country actually had a suicide prevention lifeline since 2005. But last year, Congress said, we need a 3-digit number, just like we have 911. That's really easy to remember. So anyone in emotional distress can remember what number to call. And so last summer, our country launched 988 to make it easier, again, for people to call when they need help. And so how the lifeline works, when you call 988, and you don't have to be in the middle of a crisis to actually call. You could call before that. And we have trained counselors throughout the country who take your call. And so when you dial, you have options to press 1 for veterans care, press 2 for Spanish, or press 3 for LGBT support, or you can stay on the line and just be connected to a counselor anywhere in the country. And it's routed within your state based on your area code. And so it's been really successful. Congress was right that having a 3-digit number would increase access to the line and awareness. We had 2 million more calls the year since we launched from the year before. And people can contact 988 through calling or text, which is what most youth do, or by chatting 988 on 988lifeline.org. And so what I want to talk about today specifically was the experience of calling 988. So when I first started my job in January, one of the first things I did was I called 988 to see what the user experience was. And it wasn't what I expected. It was, we have an IVR, which means an automated message that gives you options of what to click if you want to press 1, 2, or 3 or stay on the line. But the message was long. It was 45 seconds. And the message also was recorded. It was a real person, but it sounded like a robot. And so it was kind of like, thank you for calling the lifeline. We are here to help. Like just a tone that I wasn't expecting. I thought it would be like sound like a real person who was really empathetic. And then after you were routed, you kind of alternated between hearing jazz music for 18 seconds and then hearing this line that said, please wait for the next available responder. And that went back and forth until someone picked up. And we do pick up on average within 31 seconds, which is quite amazing, given how many contacts we get. We get about, we route 250,000 calls every month. But nonetheless, people are waiting. Some people wait longer than that. Some wait less than that. And we had a lot of complaints in our complaint line about the jazz music and how long the IVR was and how the voice wasn't more human. And so we looked at the data and we saw that before you're even routed, while you're hearing that initial message, we had a lot of people hanging up without even moving forward to the next step. And I'll note that number looks really high. A lot of those calls are actually robocallers or spam that get filtered out at the beginning, but some of them are not. Some of them are real callers who may not be willing to wait. And then after people do stay to get routed, we had another 12% abandoning. And by abandon, I mean they disconnect before getting connected to care. We also looked at the data and knew that most people disconnect within 30 seconds of, if you're going to disconnect, 70% of folks who disconnect do so within 30 seconds of being routed. And so the question we were trying to solve is, what if we could improve the user experience so that people could wait on hold just a little bit longer while waiting to connect with a crisis counselor? And so we partner. So in government's big, obviously. And so there's a lot of really cool opportunities to partner with different folks within the government on projects like this. And so I contacted GSA, the General Service Administration. They have an Office of Evaluation and Science. So I partnered them to do a rigorous randomized control trial test of our IVR line to see if we could use data to make it better. We also worked with a digital service at CMS because 988, I don't know if I mentioned this, we are, it's actually hosted within HHS, within an organization within HHS called SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Agency. So CMS is kind of like our sister agency within HHS. And so we contacted them and they gave us Melissa Eggleston, who's an amazing user research designer who I could pair with. My role is more of a, I said I'm the technology lead, but for US Digital Service, I was more of a bureaucracy hacker slash product manager. So then we moved forward to do a data agreement between the network administrator of 988 and GSA to share data for the analysis. And we came up with a scope of what was in and outside the scope of our test. And so what we tested in our pre-routing was a new voice who sounded really human. We tested press 0 to bypass this message at any time. We wanted to get it under 30 seconds. And we eliminated some of the pauses. And then post-routing, we wanted to experiment with new music and more messages that were affirming messages and that set your expectation of, you're going to be on hold for 30 seconds, but we really want to talk to you. Please stay on the line until we get to you. Or, you could also text 988, but please stay on the line, things like that. And so here, I'm not going to dwell on like the exact script before or after, but we had the data and we really wanted to, before we actually ran a national A/B test, we wanted to test our different music choices, our different voice choices. So that's me and Melissa. We went to the National Mall one day and we stopped people on the mall and we said, hey, do you mind voting and reading our scripts, circling whatever's confusing, listening to some voice talent and some music options. And we had people vote. We did the same thing. We did workshops with clinicians, with behavioral scientists, and with people with lived experience of experiencing suicidal thoughts. So we learned a lot. Everyone liked the same voice that was like the least robotic, most like a yoga teacher voice, who was the clear choice among all ages and demographics. So that's the person we went with that we brought into the studio for the recording. People really liked it, one piano piece that was very uplifting and hopeful. And then people with lived experience gave us incredible feedback. We didn't have any affirmative lines. By affirmative lines, I mean lines like, we really want to talk to you, please don't hang up, and not saying things like, so we are experiencing higher than average wait times. That really turned them off and said that they would be more likely to hang up to make room for other people and not themselves if they were in the moment of distress. And so that was really helpful to talk to users and not just to design for them, but design with them, which is one of the key principles of the US Digital Service. And so we divided the country into half. This is how we didn't divide them. We were going to divide them based on the last digit of your phone number, who would get the old IVR versus the new, but it turns out people with the last digit 0 hang up more. I am happy to answer why, but right now I'll just say we instead randomize every there's 10,000 combinations of phone numbers if you just use the last 4 digits. So we randomly assign them A and B, and then we played it. We ran the test during the month of August. And actually, that's all my slides because we are currently analyzing the results. But I will say, and let me see if I could stop sharing. I will say that based on our preliminary analysis, we do plan on scaling the new IVR because we have at least 36,000 more people projected to connect a year with the new IVR, and 20 to 50 people an hour are pressing 0 to bypass the message every single hour. So we're connecting people to care, more people to care, and connecting them faster. So that's the bottom line takeaway from this test. And it's super exciting to get to work on really critical projects like this that make a difference in people's lives every day. So I'll stop there. I know we're almost at the hour, but I'm really happy I had the time to talk to everyone today.
Thank you, Stephanie. What an incredible piece of work that is really, really important. And I appreciate you joining us today to share that with everyone who is in attendance. We are at the 2-minute mark. We're not seeing any questions right now. I don't think we all have quite enough time for questions. I'm just seeing one from John. So we're going to skip questions because we have 1 minute left. But South Bend, DOL, everyone has a booth here today. So please, if you are interested in speaking to any of the teams that these folks are working for, please stop by those booths. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Denise, Stephanie, Charlie. Feel free to come on video, give a final wave. We appreciate you sharing your work with us, for joining everyone who's here, who's really excited about doing this kind of work. Thank you for highlighting your experience for them. To everyone who joined this session, thank you for being interested in this work. I hope you enjoy the rest of the career fair. The next speaking session will start at 2:15 Eastern. Otherwise, thank you for being here and for spending your time with us this hour, these 45 minutes. Check out the booths. As we mentioned, our team at Coding It Forward has a booth, so we will be here and excited to talk to you for the rest of the fair. But thank you, everyone. Super excited to be getting more of you into government service. But thanks, Denise. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks, Stephanie. And have a great day, everyone. Enjoy the career fair. Farewell.